Now, the UK Independence Party is expected to announce it supports a key Conservative plan to eliminate Britain's deficit by 2018. The announcement will be made later today by the party's leader, Nigel Farage, and it's thought it could help improve the chances of a post-election deal between UKIP and the Tories. The party is holding its spring conference in the seaside town of Margate, close to the seat which Nigel Farage is contesting for Westminster. Let's cross there now to our chief political correspondent, Vicky Young, who's going to be watching that conference for us. Morning to you, Vicky. And this is a very important showcase for UKIP, isn't it? One that their political opponents will be watching very closely.
Yeah, that's right. And if UKIP want to have some influence after the general election, maybe holding the balance of power or having some influence in a hung parliament, of course they have to win some seats. And that's what this conference really is all about, a rallying cry to the troops here to get them out there and get them campaigning hard. Let's discuss this a bit more with the party's deputy chairman, Suzanne Evans. Let's start first of all with your policies. We know about the EU, we know about your plans on immigration. You're talking today more about the economy and the deficit as well.
That's absolutely right. I mean, what we want to say is, as you've just said, we're probably not going to be in government on May the 8th, but we will be able to be in opposition. And what we want to be is a really viable, good opposition. And that means holding the other parties to account on their manifesto and election pledges. So when it comes to deficit reduction, we'll make sure they stick to it. When it comes to reducing the national debt, we'll make sure they stick to it. We've had 500 billion put on the national debt since the last general election. That's not acceptable to us. As far as the EU and immigration is concerned, we will be focusing on those too, particularly on the European Union, because the message we really want to get across is that while we're still in the European Union, we are severely limited as to what we can do to benefit the people of Britain. So coming out of the European Union, we'll be talking again about the £3 billion we're going to be putting into the NHS, 20,000 new nurses, 8,000 GPs, 3,000 more midwives. All this money that we can save when we leave is what we can invest in Britain. So we'll definitely be making that point in all kinds of different policy areas.
But you still have a problem, don't you, when it comes to fending off accusations that you have people in your party who have totally unacceptable, sometimes racist views. That's just not going away, is it?
When they come to light, we kick them out. And unfortunately, we're the only party that does that consistently.
Some would say you have more people to kick out.
Well, I don't think that's true, actually, because perhaps unlike the majority of people who are just looking at UKIP from outside, I look at it from inside. And first of all, I know what the people in UKIP are like. And secondly, I also scan the local newspapers to see what other candidates are doing around the country. And it's amazing the amount of racism, sexism, fraud. We even had a former Labour agent who the Labour Party knew had been convicted of a paedophile offence, was nonetheless kept in the party.
You feel being picked on, do you?
I think we're being picked on. That's absolutely right. Unfortunately, you know, it happens in the other parties as well. I think, unfortunately, we are singled out for criticism.
Now, let's look at the general election and your hopes for the general election. As you say, realistically, you're not going to be in power. Nigel Farage is not going to be Prime Minister. What are you hoping to get and gain from the general election?
I don't really want to make any predictions because, well, I think I'm on the record as saying we'll have at least 8 in the past, so I suppose I have to stick by that. Great news came out last night that Nigel Farage is 11 points clear of his nearest rivals in Thanet. That's great news for us, and I hope that's a sort of temperature gauge, if you like, for some of our other target seats around the country. But to go back to what I said, it doesn't matter how many MPs we have in Parliament. Obviously, the more the merrier, but those MPs will be working very, very hard to be a real opposition and to make sure they stand up for the people of Britain.
OK, thank you very much, Suzanne.